Have you seen what is happening in press releases today? People are saying, don't write too much, just do one line. Others are saying, no, you need about 5 paragraphs. But why do you think all that is happening?
So at the beginning, we are saying we are not where we are, but I think there's been a lot of progress in many organizations and institutions.
And for me, that ushers me into the angle of adding value. Many people do maybe only look at comms as taking pictures, as writing stories, and maybe they do not see the strategic function that you play beyond taking pictures or just organizing events, and they think it ends there.
Hello everyone, welcome to PR in Review, a podcast where we hold topical conversations on issues in public relations and communications to help us shape industry narratives while at the same time providing practitioners with an opportunity to enrich their knowledge and to have a deeper understanding on core principles and concepts and issues within the practice. My name is Nancy Akullo and I will be your host today. And today in studio, I am privileged to host a very, very special group of guests of the VVIP caliber. And I will begin, let me introduce them. So to my extreme right, I have the president of the Public Relations Association of Uganda, Miss Irene Nakasiita. I am honored and privileged to serve with her on the PRO Governing Council. So President Irene is a woman who wears many hats. She also serves as a director of communications, resource mobilization, and partnerships at the Uganda Red Cross Society. President Irene, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Nancy, and thank you for having me today.
It's a pleasure. Yeah. It's a pleasure. And to my immediate right, I have Mr. Paul Bukenya. So Paul is the Principal Public Relations Officer and Deputy Spokesperson of our Electoral Commission. He has more than, I think, 15 or 20 years in the practice. You know, I have seen the two of them. I have seen them from a distance in their craft. And today it's just an honor to just be able to sit at the same table with them as we talk about public relations and communications. You're welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Nancy. And it's a great honor for me to be here.
Pleasure.
To talk about issues within our industry. Yes.
It's great to have you,
great,
Paul.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mm-hmm. So today, this episode of the podcast is dedicated to the 5th National Public Relations Symposium, which is organized by PRO. And PRO is the Association for Public Relations and Communications Practitioners in Uganda. And today we are going to speak about a very interesting subject, strategic communications, which is also the theme of our symposium that is scheduled for 3rd of July. So just to paint a picture, President Irene and Paul, I think the communications industry is becoming more and more recognized. We are seeing larger communications departments from where we had a one-man department to now maybe 3 or even 4.
Even 20.
Even 20. Wow. Yes, that's a good thing. And also we are seeing more practitioners now earning seats in the boardroom. Just about a week ago, past President Henry Rugamba was appointed to the board of Equity Bank.
Actually, to lead.
Yes, to lead the board, And for us as practitioners, that's a vote of confidence in our profession. However, we are not yet where we desire to be, and that's why we are here this morning. We still have issues regarding budget allocation, where you're sitting at a table, a management meeting, and we are doing budgets for the coming year, and the first budget to be slashed is communications. And also, I feel like we still don't have enough seats in the C-suite and in the boardroom. There are very few organizations where you have communicators sitting on the senior management teams. I think that needs to change. So this morning, that's the conversation we want to have. How do we position communications as a strategic function that supports organizations to achieve their goals and also remain sustainable? And I'd like to begin with President Irene, and let's take it from the top. How would you define strategic communications, and how do you distinguish it from traditional PR?
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Actually, I want to start with a disclaimer. For me, any organization that has not yet appreciated that communication is a strategic role, they are missing out on quite a lot of things. Because then when will they ever appreciate that?
Yeah.
You see, when you look at the core of organizations, it is the art of communication that makes organizations who they are. Because let alone your business, if people don't know your business and do not know how to appreciate your business, then it can never take center stage. It won't have a footprint. It won't stick in our minds and hearts. And if you're looking for customers, who will help you get them if people don't understand your product, your business, your service? You need a strategic communicator to help you package, to help you create or curate your narrative and bring it out to the public for customers to know and appreciate what the business is like. So for me to even define strategic communications, I'm looking at the deliberate and intentional packaging of the organization's mission and vision to the stakeholders so that they appreciate it in a broader context, in a strategic context. Unlike the traditional communications of PR, where we may probably just focus on, maybe I want this story to go out today. It is just PR for that particular moment. Or you even invite the media to come and cover you for that only moment. But strategically, if you're to look at strategic communications, these are intentional communications that we package on a day-to-day. Let me use an example of where I work, that is the Uganda Red Cross Society. If I just think about only doing PR for when we have something, then people will never understand Red Cross in a broader context. Paul, I've been to places where people see us and they say, is there Ebola? Why are they here?
Is
there a problem? What does that mean? People have known that we come in when there are problems. So, but if I want to get donor money, what happens? I package the communication and I target that donor. That is strategic because the bigger goal is for this organization called Red Cross to be visible, to be trusted, to be appreciated, to be picked as a partner of choice for that donor. So I cannot do traditional PR for that particular objective. So I need to be strategic. I need to be particular. How do I target this donor? How do I engage them? How do I keep in their face? How do I package my communication for them? How do I prepare serious meetings with this donor? You know, all that is communication. Now, a program person will not do that. For them, it's about getting the work done, regardless. Because like we always say, what is not documented did not happen. You can never tell a story of something you didn't document. What does that mean? Be strategic. So for me, strategic communication, I define it as those strategic or rather intentional, broader objectives that we set and then deliberately communicate them with our stakeholders for them to appreciate the goals, the vision, the mission of the organization and uphold them in that strategic manner.
Wonderful. Broader objectives that we set to show how we align with the broader goals of the organization. Thank you, President Irene. So moving to Paul, how would you define strategic communications and how do you distinguish it from traditional PR?
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Madam President. Of course, now we would look at a picture that someone has when they go out to do a business, for example, or set up an organization, as a person who thinks long term, because except for projects which, I'm going to do something for a day or period, a shorter period. But if you're going to think long term, an organization, a business, a company, you have a mission, you have objectives, and in order to really achieve them, you tend to be strategic.
Yeah.
One of the where are we going? How are we going to get there? And all those things. And part of what gets you there is planning for communication. How do we package our message? And so I'm in agreement with Madam President. There is an intentionality, there is purpose. You set out, who am I going to serve? So strategic communication then is what it involves bringing together those components. Who I know my audiences, the people that I'm going to serve. Where do I find them? How do they interact? The stakeholder landscape is quite complex these days. And so if you don't set out with that in mind, looking at, on the longer term, and seeing how to align your communication with the bigger objectives. And we run elections, we manage elections in Uganda, and we say, how are we going to run the entire roadmap from start to finish? It's a 3-year cycle. And so that's why we come up with what we call a strategic plan and a communication strategy for that matter. So I think when we talk about, a strategic communication, you're talking about really intentional communication, targeted, focused, reaching out with that purpose that I need to achieve the long-term goal and objectives and the mission and the vision of the organization. And that's what organizations are doing. So like President said, I would be surprised if someone sets out to do something and they don't think about how to sell it, how to present it, how to you stand out in a complex stakeholder landscape that we have right now. You need to be able to identify those issues that will make you stand out, the platforms will use to communicate them, and the way you create the content that will get your message across and sustain and keep you there and until you achieve what you're set out to do. So organizations are thinking strategically at various levels, and one of those levels should be communication. At the moment, it is not considered. Then there is a very big gap in how you will get across to whatever I want to get across to your audiences. And PR, of course, then is just now, I think, without devaluing it and all that, because we cannot do that. It still remains part of it all. But now the broader picture, PR just becomes part of it. To support the bigger strategic communication that we have.
Wow, I'm learning. So I guess what's coming out strongly is that strategic communications must be aligned with the broader goals of the organization. So that alignment is key. And the other thing that's coming out strongly from President Irene and Paul, your submission, is it's intentional, it's deliberate, and it's long term. It's not of today, of I'm writing a press release for this event. We're thinking long. What is the organization's strategic plan for maybe the next 5 years? How, as a communicator, how do I help this organization then to achieve,
even to communicate its vision, missions, and the entire strategy? By the way, when organizations develop strategic plans, the communicator or the communications person and that strategic communication we are talking about is now unpacking the strategic the strategy, the entire strategic plan of that organization, because we are targeting stakeholders. So us who deal with, who are in NGOs, maybe you're trying now to say, who are the people that we need to speak to, who need to understand our strategic plan, who are the people to support us to deliver on our mission and vision, and also achieve our objectives. Then when we come to companies that sell, we are saying this is the bigger business strategy for the next 5 years. But how do we unpack it? Do you remember when URA brought these IFRIS receipts?
Yes.
Who helped them to unpack these things to the public. It's their communicators.
Team, yeah.
You see, you're going to introduce a process in the business, and the stakeholders whom you want to learn this process are not informed, are not aware, do not understand. You only need strategic communications to address that gap. Yeah. So for the longer term, or for the 5 year, if your time frame is 5 years and you want this strategy to be delivered and executed, get the strategic function of communication should not miss across board.
Yeah, sure.
Shouldn't.
And it becomes a part of the components, the key components that will drive you to achieve, like that you're saying, that big goal that you set out for. And of course, a company, like you said, if there is still any organization that does not value communication as a key tool or key function, then there is a gap, a very
big gap.
Yeah.
And I probably, perhaps that could explain one of the reasons why such programs or initiatives face challenges or even fail at the end of it. Perhaps we may need to do some research and look at the effect of
missing strategic communication.
That's a good topic for people who are doing masters and PhDs.
They keep running surveys. Let me do a survey because they are not sure. Yeah, but where you're sure comms is doing a good job. Every day you're confident and you're so sure you're on track. Yeah, you pass somewhere and they say, Electoral Commission, poll passes, and people wave at him because the message has been delivered to the people. They appreciate it. Then you won't struggle. Even when a crisis comes, I think people already have the trust and say, maybe today it was a mistake. But where you're struggling to, people are like, who are these people by the way? Who are they? Oh, okay, what are they saying? They are struggling to understand the organization. Because the communication function is missing.
Wow, wonderful. So, President Irene, speaking from where you have just left off, understanding the organization, the Uganda Red Cross Society is a critical pillar in Uganda's emergency response system. Often when you see a road accident somewhere, the first ambulance that you will see will be that of the Uganda Red Cross Society. So you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
And you've really helped in providing first aid and safely transporting casualties, I beg your pardon, to the health centers. So we've now understood what strategic communications is, but now we want to make it more practical. How would you define strategic? How does strategic communications at the Uganda Red Society help the organization to achieve those humanitarian goals?
Wow, that's like chewing orbit for me. Bubblegum. Hey, look at the Uganda Red Cross. Our organization thrives on public goodwill. Paul, if you don't trust the Red Cross, because we come in to save people's lives. And how do we make sure these people trust us to come and touch them? It's not about bragging, but I must tell you, we've seen many emergencies where people say, we only trust the Red Cross to come here. If not Red Cross, don't. We just ended the elections where there is any violence. When people see an ambulance or a car with a siren, when they see Red Cross, they'll come. When they see any other, they take off or they'll even refuse.
Why is that?
It is that trust.
Okay.
So you are asking me how strategic communication helps the organization to gain its objectives or to achieve, but also deliver on its mandate. Us, we thrive and survive on public goodwill. And that is why our communication is not just for PR purposes, but it's intentional for that public to understand us, who we are, what we do, how we do it, and how they can work with us. When someone gets a road traffic accident and I come as a responder, I will call for help. I can't respond alone. So the best thing we always do is look around. I may just need water. Someone should run quickly to bring water. It is how now we carry ourselves and also deliver the service. But as we communicate, do people understand what we do? So that when we call them to come and work with us, it becomes easy. Yes. We always want volunteers to come and volunteer with us in our life-saving mission. We cannot get these volunteers if you don't trust us. But it's through how we communicate to you that you're able to understand about the organization. And so when we say we need volunteers, you do come. Do you know that I also do fundraising, Nancy, and Paul?
Yeah.
I cannot do fundraising. I use communications, strategic communications to do fundraising. Do you know how? It is how I package the organization. We are lifesavers. We can't save lives without support. Today, the donor world, their donor money is very scarce. And I'm saying the Red Cross in Uganda is for you and I. Can you contribute something to sustain the Red Cross? If I say the money you're giving us is to buy the medicine, which we put in these ambulances, and in the event of a road traffic accident, we come to save your life, would you struggle to give us that coin?
Yeah.
You wouldn't. So you see how strategic communication is helping you to also raise resources, which are going to help the organization to keep afloat. Yeah. So strategic communication helps in building the reputation of the organization. When I am building the reputation of the Uganda Red Cross, tomorrow you will come to join as a member. You will come to join as a volunteer because we have packaged a message which has compelled you to come to us. So strategic communication plays a very, very critical role in helping organizations to deliver on their mandate. For us at the Red Cross, we've seen this work, and I'm a living testimony. Many times we go out to partners to seek for support, and they come through because they say, yes, Red Cross, we know you do a noble cause. Okay, it is very fine, we will come through. When there's no blood in hospitals, Nancy, we communicate to stakeholders, we communicate to corporate companies, we communicate to people in the public, and they come and donate blood willfully. We don't force. And you see, when we have this blood, we sustain lives of people who are in hospitals suffering. But if we did not, I'll maybe borrow a word of a preacher, if we did not preach this gospel of save a life, it is difficult for people to come and associate. Yeah. But we use our strategic communication function to get all this done. You may have the money, but money may not do everything. But you may use your message, your communication, to tactfully woo people to yourself, to your organization, to your brand, to your product. I have seen people sell things that you may think are not necessary. I lost my brother last week. I went with a guy who managed my function. But along the way, we went jazzing when I was going with him. Then he told me, Irene, for us, our clients are these guys, abatunde mumbwa, abatunda blackstone. Blackstone is this thing they use when there's a snake bite. But he told me, but by the way, those people help us. So they're always calling you, say, well, where is the business? Where is the business? I want to sell my things, because they know you're an events handler. Such events like the one I was going to run or manage. But do you see that now that is a strategic relationship which these people are gaining through their kind of business. So strategically, the stakeholders we bring on board are coming to you because of what you do, but also how you communicate your business. So for me, it still comes back to that art of communication and the strategic function that comms plays in organizations. Do not wait only when there is a crisis. And I'll tell you, a crisis can be difficult to take away if you wait for it to happen.
Yeah.
A communicator will help you to avoid, they'll map the risk and they'll help you to actually avert that risk and avoid the crisis if you involve them in time. But if you wait for me to communicate after a crisis, I may even struggle to package that message. Have you seen what is happening in press releases today? People are saying, don't write too much, just do one line. Others are saying, no, you need about 5 paragraphs. But why do you think all that is happening? During a crisis, people knock heads. Should I release too much content or little? What informs that? You only wait when the crisis happens. That's when you want to bring in comms. So comms will get stuck. They don't know whether to write too much or little. And at the end of that day, you may even now go into a big brand crisis.
Can escalate,
But Paul can supplement and complement on this.
Yeah. Before I bring in Paul, I think what I really liked from your submission is strategic, stakeholder engagement. The people that you've talked about, the muntu wawansi who help you, feed you with intelligence, but also who support your work on the ground.
Even your consumers of the products. You're selling your soda, the muntu wawansi is the one who buys it.
So we really need to engage. And And the other thing that I've picked from your submission, President Irene, is you have a very interesting role. You're Director of Communications and Resource Mobilization. At the same time, I think that's why you sit on the SMT and Partnerships Management, and we'll come to that discussion shortly. But I think when, as a communicator, you're also able to speak the language of the finance team and the CEO and the board in terms of bringing resources into the organization, then you're earning your seat. So well done.
Thank you.
Let's hear from Paul. So Paul, I know it's a busy season. Yesterday, Paul was on NTV, Ebigambo Tevita. He was speaking about the local council elections. And this has been a busy year for you. We had the
Since
general
January.
election, members of parliament. Yesterday, there was a by-election. Wow. So Paul, how does strategic communication support the role of the Electoral Commission?
Yeah, thank you. It does definitely play a big role in how we execute our mandate as Electoral Commission. Our mandate is to organize, conduct, and supervise elections, and elections can have the complex dynamics. They are very, very important and global, of course, and even here. In how nations run and, stability, prosperity, and all that progress. So it's quite a very, very, big function that we mandate that we have. And I would like to say that one of the things that has went is that the Electoral Commission has appreciated the role of communications and really appreciated it. It's been built over time, but there's deep appreciation for that. In 2022, we made a case to engage a consultant to develop a communication strategy for the 2025-2026 general elections. And that was in appreciation of the central role that strategic communications would play in managing this election. And we drew on the lessons of the COVID election and said we need to have more clarity and more, researched. When we talked about intentionality in the beginning and focus and all that purpose, there is a presupposition that, of course, you are going now then to look and find out what is, you're going to do research. And so what is existing, what's in the market, what's on the ground? How do I fit myself in this context? So it is a consultancy firm that helped us to do the research, the surveys, the questions around to dig deep into what we are doing, what has been going well, what has not been going well, what can we do better, what has changed so that we do it as a public, this is public service. What has changed that we may adopt to deliver well. So with that, we then developed a communication strategy that highlighted how we're going to use strategic communications to support the delivery of the strategic plan, Electoral Commission strategic plan. And to show how important this is, the communication is a full pillar in the Electoral Commission strategic plan.
Well, that's interesting.
And that shows you how much appreciation that there is.
That's good.
So at the beginning, we are saying we are not where we are, but I think there's been a lot of progress in many organizations and institutions. It's a whole pillar. How do we engage stakeholders through the communication, engagement, interaction, feedback mechanisms, and adapting, to what is current and what can address the issues in the communication landscape today. So that helped us to design then the interventions that we've done or played out. But again, to probably wrap it up on that, and how does strategic communication help us? It helps us to understand our stakeholders, how to engage them, how to build up the content that will reach out to them. Because now we've even done some study and such. What platforms do they use? The largest population of young people, of voters are young people, but there's also rural-based voters, electorate. It's still a rural part of it. So what does radio do these days? How do we use radio? How do we use social media? But also it helps us to build confidence when you engage strategically and communicate strategically. These are processes that create a lot of are contested. There's already so many questions coming up all the time. How do you build stakeholder confidence? How do you build trust? How do you win support so that the processes are conducted and. So at the center of all this has been a deliberate strategy, communication strategy that we developed again with the input of both technical people, policymakers, and of course the experts that we engaged. But also to get to what Irene talked about, how do you anticipate crisis? And it helps us to, the communication strategy then, and strategic communication helps us to anticipate crisis. What could probably happen? What could go? Because we've mapped out everything. What could go wrong? And how would we approach it? How would we manage? And then it helps us when actually crisis happens. Because,
don't struggle alone.
There is a way, the structure is in place, and there is support. And there is, we will not then run around and get stuck with knockheads. And of course, a few things could still rattle you, but you anticipated here and there, and mind that it plays a very big role in delivering the electoral mandate. Strategic communication is at the center of it. How do we disseminate voter information? And how do we achieve high participation without being strategic in our communication? So I can confidently say that the Electoral Commission as an organization has been supportive, and it has helped us to position communication and within the strategic plan itself, so that when the argument is made that you make a case, well, not an argument. When you make a case, it flows that yes, there is this after all, and you say it is justified because it is part of our strategic plan. And the strategic plan is also a result of deep evaluation of previous conduct of elections and global practices. I think that is what's happening, and that's how I would look at it and respond to it. And we look forward. We just concluded the general elections. What lessons have we learned? What went well? What didn't go well? What can we learn? What are the lessons? And going forward, we'll be doing another strategic plan for 2031. It's always a 3-year election cycle. So that means it starts in 2029, 28 actually, 20 financial 28, 29, 20, 30, 31, So it will still be, I believe, at the center of it. But maybe as I close on that, a strategic communication, being mindful of the role of strategic communication has helped us to evolve with the times, and especially to adapt to the landscape that has changed, especially with new media, a complex social media environment.
Wow.
And Nancy, I want to attest to what Paul has alluded to. Actually, their civic education is actually done by the communications team. I've observed this. But also being in public service, their entity is quite unique. Paul, I've seen many government agencies, whenever there is any communication to be made, it has to be the CEO, it has to be the minister, but I see with EC, the communications people come out and articulate their issues. So that for me confirms that the level at which they have appreciated the communication function in their entity, which is really good.
In that line, maybe I could just add on. After the adoption of the communication strategy, actually the department was even expanded, and then get a focused, dedicated digital media person, an audiovisual officer, and a head of department was also who joined also our team. So the team became even bigger, so that we can manage the complex communication requirements of an electoral cycle, like the one we have in Uganda.
Wow, wonderful.
That shows appreciation of the communication.
It does. And that is not, and that's what we were saying earlier. It's not common that you find a strategic plan with a whole pillar dedicated to comms.
it.
So there must be something you guys are doing right, and I'm happy that you're here to share that with us. But and still staying with you, Paul, how do you measure the impact of strategic comms based on what you have shared with us, the support that you give in the election process, risk management, stakeholder engagement, sensitization, awareness? How do you measure all of that at the end of the cycle? If you could please touch on that.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, one of the things that happened was actually expanding, adding onto the team, the comms team, so that there are also specific skills that can help in, for example, the area of measurement. Because now we need to sustain that message that comms is central and it's important and we should get its budget share.
Yeah.
So we first, of course, using the modern tools that we have, digital, across the digital landscape. There's a dedicated team that is doing that, or at least an officer who coordinates a team that does the researching, working with the research and planning department, tracking how our messages are going, their impact and how they're being received, looking at participation, and people participating in the electoral activities are the political parties who are key stakeholders, and how are their attitudes changed, because our goal is, of course, to influence also their behavior. At the center of the communication strategy is also an objective of having create awareness, those principles, create awareness and influence behavior. How they participated in the elections, we look at those figures, the numbers, statistics, but also the conduct. We talk about behavior, the conduct of stakeholders in the electoral process. Then, of course, the metrics that we've gone through using the available tools, the digital tools, our website and the social media platforms, on Twitter, X, the way the people are responding to us. So there is a team now that does that and reports, who presents a report that this is how this campaign has performed. And as we go into the next campaign, because the electoral process has stages, we've done this activity. For example, we've updated the voters register. We're going to display it. What were they saying? What were the issues? What were the common issues? What really came out? And then after that, we're going to nominations. Nominations have their dynamics also. Then you're going to campaigns, which are very, very, very complex issues. So the teams monitor that, both using traditional and new tools that are technology-based tools. Also, our relations with the press. What kind of press are we getting?
Received in the coverage.
Yeah, the coverage, the tone, the messaging, and all that. And so the relations with the media and stakeholders and all that. So there are factors that come into play. But yes, then we have a dedicated team that does that and presents a report at the end of each cycle, or each phase of the electoral process. And then, of course, it contributes into the overall evaluation of the general election.
Wow, wonderful. I like that you have a dedicated research function that helps you to collect that data and then report to management, because it's important to monitor that feedback, because then it helps us to strategize for the next cycle. Thank you so much, Paul. So moving on to President Irene. As I mentioned earlier, our president wears many hats. She's the Director of Communications, Resource Mobilization, and Partnerships. And Partnerships Management. Thank you. And you also sit on the senior management team.
Yes.
And remember, we said earlier that there are not many communicators that sit on the SMT. So we want some tips. How did you get there, and what can we do as communicators to position ourselves better for senior management team roles like yours?
Okay, actually, Paul just alluded to one of them, Nancy, through his submissions. You asked that question on measurement.
Yeah.
And for me, that ushers me into the angle of adding value. Many people do maybe only look at comms as taking pictures, as writing stories, and maybe they do not see the strategic function that you play beyond taking pictures or just organizing events, and they think it ends there. But for me, mine has a story to it. I joined Red Cross 10 years ago. It's quite some
We've been
time.
there 10 years.
10 years.
It's loyalty and
So,
commitment.
yes,
That's
there's
good.
some loyalty, but as well, I joined when the organization had gone through a cycle of a crisis. So, sitting down to assess, because Paul was just telling you how we assess, you look at an entity in its entirety, an organization. Be like a MSAO or a biology student. You're dissecting this entire human being and saying, if I cut off the head, what happens about this arm? If I cut off the legs, the entire anatomy of this organization called Irene or called Red Cross, how will it function? So from the crisis analysis, we realized a lot. The organization had actually been let down by a leadership crisis, which ended up in bad press. You see now the communication of the media coming into form or to make the crisis grow bigger than it was, becomes a political issue, it's a leadership issue, but then shatters and shuts down the entire organization. And realized to bring back, revive the organization and bring back its glory, we needed to use strategic communication function, rebrand this entire organization called Red Cross and give it a new face, new leadership, new processes, bring back the donors, bring back the public trust. How do we communicate with our people and say, we are the Red Cross. We still have a mandate of saving your lives. Regardless of what happened, we have a new team. There's integrity. The whole repackaging centered around communication. And for me to do this, I needed to wear a hat bigger than just communications. But also, when we communicate, why do we communicate? I told you I profile the institution, but I also bring in money. So I'm putting two things together. The reason for the strategic communication to us is to attract resources, attract volunteers like you and Paul. You may want to say, okay, we are communicators. There's a problem at Red Cross. We want to volunteer our skills. Support Red Cross. Paul can say, I'll support you, Irene, to handle your social media. Nancy, you can say, let me support with taking pictures. Because volunteering is at the heart of the Red Cross. So when I'm communicating, what do I want? I communicate to attract volunteers. I communicate to attract donors. I communicate to bring in any kind of resource to the organization, attract members. What am I communicating? I'm telling you about our core values. I'm telling you about the fundamental principles of the Red Cross globally, not just in Uganda, but global Red Cross. And why am I telling you all these things? I want you to allow me safe access when I'm in your community. When you see a Red Crosser, please don't shoot, don't target, don't kill me, don't fear me. I don't carry firearms. We don't fight. We don't take sides. We are neutral. We are this. So the way we communicate is to create awareness of who we are so that now we win you to ourselves. And that is why when you asked Paul about measuring impact, it comes in so handy that now you bring relevancy on table. You say from these many communications we made, these are the results. Are you putting the results on the table? That from the social media campaign that I've been running, I have been able to bring on board 6 partners. Here they are. These partners are giving us this and that. This entity has contributed to our ambulance service. This entity is interested in looking at our Keep a Girl in School program. How they want to join and work with us. Yeah, I have had 6 requests come through social media, young people saying, how can I volunteer with you? And I have referred them to this branch, the other branch, and they have signed up. So through this campaign, we have 100 volunteers. They are attached to these branch offices of the Red Cross. Through this campaign, we have been able to bring on board 10 partners, new partnerships. And partnerships come with a lot of value. Not just that, they come with money, they come with in-kind resources. Partnerships, I mean, Paul, I may not have the money to support your activity, but I have the ambulance. So I may say, I am the Red Cross, I have an ambulance, you just need to fuel it to go and you do your medical camp. I'm coming as a partner who is not giving you money, but I have a resource in kind which you need to deliver. So when I am doing partnerships, for me, I am looking at the value. It may not necessarily be monetary. Now, if you combine all these things that I am bringing on the table, there's no way you're going to go to the boardroom and discuss things without me. Because if you're looking at how we are going to deliver on the partnerships, I'm the one responsible for these partnerships. If you're looking at how we are going to bring new donors on board, we need to strategize. There's a symposium where we attended with PR people, and I told them communication is helping us make money, or PR is helping us make money. Because we speak to donors. There are donors that we go to, the likes of Bill Gates. They don't have time, Nancy, to sit with you, read a 50-page document. You know these program people. They will go write background, introduction. Before you know, the guy has a document of 50 pages. Now me, I just summarize it into one page.
Wow.
And I speak to this donor. Whatever they need to know about the Red Cross, or about poverty in Uganda, or about lack of access to clean and safe water in Chotera or Rengo, on just one page. And I just tell this donor, Red Cross only needs 2 billion shillings to put maybe 500 spring wells in this community, and the issue of water will be addressed. Now, those nitty-gritties will come later. Do you see how strategically I'm playing a role in onboarding this donor?
Yeah.
You see, without this donor, that programmer won't be in Chotera or Rengo sinking boreholes, because I am bringing in this donor through just a one-page document that I am making to engage you. This is a strategic role that I'm playing. Now, the crafting of the communications, the narratives. Remember, I was in the boardroom where you were discussing these things and the strategic direction of the organization. Because I have that in mind, when I am managing the social media page, I'm going to craft the content to align with what was discussed in the boardroom. My message is not going to say, Irene and Paul are in the studio discussing strategic communications. No. My message is going to be PR professionals set out to guide the country on the new dynamics of communications in Uganda and how we tell Uganda's story in a better way. I mean, I'm trying to show you that even the way we are telling the stories or we are communicating is different. So earning myself a seat in the boardroom has not just been on a silver plate. There has also been some level of aggressiveness. Sometimes I'm really aggressive. Sometimes things don't just come your way on a silver plate. You need to take it there. Why? These people, some of them do not know that you actually need to sit in the boardroom. Now you need to create that value and show them.
Wow, that's powerful.
That without this, you're missing out on this. I and Paul have talked about something called risks. Do you know when people do not envisage these risks and map them, then they're not able to think for you. But you need to show the risk of if comms is not here or the strategic communication function is not here, what are the risks you envisage to run? What is at stake for you as an institution? Yeah, you're only going to wait for when there's a crisis. That's when you bring communications people on the table. But remember, they lack this strategic thinking because they are never with you in these boardrooms. Yeah, the organization is under threat. The PR person does not know the gravity of the issue because they have only been told something small like it's like they don't communicate to them in detail. Just say, by the way, maybe the CEO, this and this happened, but they don't know the detail. But now because you sit with them in the boardroom, you already know the details, but you want to only communicate what should go out. And even how, you can actually do like 4 statements. One for the general public. You may do one for the board. You may do one for the staff. You may want to do one for even the team affected. Why? You see how you're even categorizing your communication. You're weighing your stakeholders and saying who should get what kind of what. content.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't just release general content to everybody. Becomes difficult. So the reporting, the narratives, the measurements of the matrices we use to measure the data, to bring the impact and also communicate. We take figures to the boardrooms. People should know, when I invest in communication, how much do I gain in return, or what do I get in return? If you know that you're investing in communications to be able to tell your story and then be able to get partners and donors on board, then better invest in comms. But if you do not see any value back, you will be that kind of entity that only waits for strategy for issues to come. That's when you see that we need communications here to help us. And sometimes they will even say, we can use AI to do the press release. Because they do not know that AI is garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
They forget that there is even a creative, exactly, the thought process that you're putting into this press statement before it actually comes out. There is an art that you need to invest in there. There is that creativity around you as a person. By the way, this is both a skill, a gift, a natural gift as well, because not all communicators are PR people, not all communicators are actually communicators. Some people are just put into the roles because maybe you know the CEO, or your father or mother knows me and you did journalism and I just placed you there. But also for us, we look at the strategic ability of this person to actually deliver on this function. So getting into the C-suite is something that is, we are so late. Companies that have not thought about it had better think about it.
Sure.
It had to happen like yesterday. Secondly, for companies that are strategic, organizations which are strategic, with strategic plans as well, there is internal comms and external comms. If you've not put this together to look at it as a strategic function, you are missing out. For organizations like mine, which have to look for donors or partners or resources to sustain themselves, if you don't have communication as a strategic function, you will close down because donor money is not there. We are struggling. There are turbulent waters that we are in. We had better communicate to raise resources, not just to communicate impact or communicate for the sake. For entities that are into business, if they do not know that strategic communication should be in their C-suite to be able to articulate their business ideas. That's why we teach business communication, Nancy, even in universities. When you go to MOBS, their marketing department, they are going to be teaching you business communication, because if you're a business person running a business without communications, you are at a loss. Yeah. Look at governments. Paul is working with a government entity. Government has equally appreciated that communication is a strategic function. That is why the Uganda Media Center has been given a CEO who is leading from the front. You know? That's why you see Uganda Tourism Board now being led by a communicator, a marketer. Why? How shall we tell the story of Uganda when we are not storytellers, when we are not communicators? Comms is a strategic function that needs to remain in the boardroom, elevated, supported with proper budgets, with proper skilled people, on-board personnel, and build fully fledged teams that are going to deliver on your business goals. Communications should be at the center.
Powerful. Wow. Thank you, Madam President. CEOs you've had, and chairpersons of boards.
By the way, even boards, there has to be somebody who is a communications person. For me at the Red Cross, our board, you see, there are elective politics because we have branches. So we have 51 branches. Every branch sends 2 people at the national level, and we form what we call a General Assembly. Now, that's National Council. From there, they select the board. But when all the elective politics is done, we onboard other people with specific skills, whom we call advisors. And for us, communications is one of them.
Wonderful.
Because we need somebody with that lens to equally support our board. So the board members, so boards out there who are looking at us or even listening into our conversations, you need a communicator even on your board to enrich the board advisory services that you're offering to the organizations.
That was powerful, President Irene. And I liked what you said about, even when we are measuring, it's not sufficient to just say, I had this number of likes, I had this number of followers. we need
What do
to
they
measure
translate
strategy.
to?
Yes, it has to be actionable and strategic. If you went out, if you had this number of posts or these stories that you've told about a project, how many partners were you able to win from that storytelling? So we need to be strategic in how we report back to management. Wrapping up, we are almost concluding, but I would like us now to move to the symposium. And because this episode is dedicated to the symposium, what can you tell us about the symposium, President Irene?
I'm excited. First of all, this is our 5th symposium as the PR practitioners in Uganda. And this year, on the 22nd of May, the Public Relations Association of Uganda turned 50 years.
Wow.
We turned 50 and we are, I don't know whether we're the oldest association, are we? Aren't we? Is there anyone older than us? I think we are the oldest. We need to brag about
We're
it.
among the oldest.
Exactly. So
that
turning 50 is not mean feat.
No, it's not.
And looking at people who are telling your stories across the country, these organizations, we are profiling them, we are building brands. So we will convene as PR practitioners or communicators in what we've called a PR symposium. It's a 1-day symposium. It will be on the 3rd of July at the Golf Course Hotel. It will start off at exactly 9 a.m. And we will wind down till maybe late night. Of course, we officially close at 5, but then we always have social hour for our members. Any other business comes in, members do catch up. I mean, this is professional space. People have missed each other in a long time. Nancy is in ICPAU, Paul is in ICI, I'm in Red Cross. When do we gather and meet? So when we come together after our professional learning, then we tone it down a bit and go into soft conversations. We share coffee, we share some wine. I mean, we go down with each other and in the evenings and we have that social hour. But most importantly, we always give opportunity for learning. These many things we've just been talking about in this podcast. So sometimes we break them down into small topics and we invite industry experts to come and sit in the room with us and we learn from each other. We also have students. As part of our membership, we have students. So we give an opportunities to students to also come in and learn from industry experts. And we've put most of these under mentorship. So some of them come and see their mentors or even hook out potential mentors. Because if I'm in 3rd year and I don't know what to do, I've been looking at Mr. Paul Bukenya from afar on TV. Now I have a chance to see him in the room. I walk to him and I say, sir, my name is Irene. I would like, sir, to meet you. And before you know, Paul fixes an appointment for this young person. And maybe he even creates room at EC for them to do internship. So we offer these many opportunities through the symposium. But most importantly, come and learn. Because we learn and relearn, because it's the only opportunity we have for all of us to gather together in the entire year before the annual PR awards. So we always use this symposium for this kind of professional learning. But we have very interesting speakers, Nancy. I know you will share the lineup with them, but one of them is our own media center new CEO, Alan. When you guys, it's very exciting and most of you are sending feedback to us already. When Alan introduced the one-line press statement, everyone said, I need to meet this guy. I need to meet. He's been a BBC man for so many years. He was on the radio stations here in Uganda for so many years. And now he's leading Uganda's national media center. I mean, if you don't want to lead him, he's coming to you at no cost. We are not going to say, he will be in the room. And of course, we charge a small fee. And basically, it is for you to eat. It is for you to be able to occupy the space where we will be. Because the little money we charge, members and non-members, is for us to be able to help us organize, really. So when we charge something small, do not feel bad. We want to be able to put you in a decent space, a decent room, set it up for you so that you sit comfortable and feel the professional that you are. I mean, most of you come dressed up in your suits. You're very smart. So we give you a decent chair, and indeed you feel where you're seated is worth your money and worth being, and the people around you are worth being near. I mean, so Nancy, I want to use this opportunity to invite both PR professionals, communicators, non-communicators, government leaders, business professionals, MDs, even CEOs, because we have a CEO panel. We want all of you to come and also get an opportunity to listen from us.
Yes.
And we are on our journey of developing the PRO bill. We want to make sure we are legislated. At 50 years, if we can't get our PRO bill assented to by the president, what else can we celebrate? I mean, so we want to use this opportunity as one of our it is one of the events ahead of our 50th anniversary celebrations, which will be in October. But for now, the symposium is on the 3rd of July, very soon. So we invite you to come and join us. We will be at a golf course. Members pay $250. And then non-members pay 300,000. It's pocket change for some of you who go to Kampala Club. That's not even 5 beers. So, we invite you. This small tax that you invest in to be able to help you gain a seat in the room. And it comes back to you through the seat, through the drinks, through the meals, and the facilitators, and the learning that you cannot even quantify and measure, because at the end of the day, it's for your professional development and growth. I invite you, please, don't miss.
Thank you for that warm invitation, President Irene. So, Paul, your parting shots, and what can you tell us about the symposium? I know that Paul is moderating one of the panels, the panel of development communication. So, what can you tell us?
The symposium gives opportunity to us members to meet and learn, like she was saying. So I've been in practice, it's almost 20 years. But I keep asking, what is new? What's happening? How are other people doing this? What is evolving? Things are evolving. So many things have changed over time. And one of the best one-stop center where we get to catch up with some of those is the symposium. You get to meet younger practitioners. How are they doing it? And of course, what's happening? When you get opportunity to exposure to new trends, innovations, please grab it, because our industry is also evolving very, very fast. And mostly because also the media landscape is evolving, changing very fast every other day. So it's very good that PRO is mindful of that, and every year we organize a symposium where we look at these things afresh and say, what are the new insights? What exactly is happening in our industry? And we check ourselves, equip ourselves for the times ahead of us. So I would encourage our practitioners there and other people who are picking up this message to really turn up. Because we've made the argument, we made the case already that communication, and mostly strategic communication, is at the center of it all. Your business, your mission, your objectives. If you want to learn more about that, this would be a very good opportunity to do so. And we're glad that we have a part of this as Electoral Commission.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, President Irene. I really want to take this opportunity to thank you for candidly sharing your knowledge and experience. Knowledge must flow. It must be transferred for us to uplift each other. The Bible says iron sharpens iron. So I'm really grateful that we've had this conversation, and thank you so much for being a part of this. So ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from our experts. Strategic communications is a key driver of organizational success and sustainability. If you have been intrigued by this conversation, please ensure to attend the symposium on 3rd July. And today we've only had about an hour to spare, but at the symposium we're going to have a whole day. Yes. So come, please come, let's learn, let's connect, and let's have fun. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Remember to share a comment, share the video, and to subscribe. Until next time, bye-bye.